I will call to order the regular meeting of the Dayton City Council, August 12th. Stand for the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, any motion and a second for the agenda? I'll make a motion.
Do we need to adjust the agenda?
Need a second?
Second.
Second. And are there adjustments to, this is the latest?
Yep. Yep, Mayor, members of council, we have one item. We need to replace item M with an approval of accepting resignation of Fire Department Lieutenant Travis Henderson. So what we will do is we will have just item M will just be swapped.
That's what's printed on here. Did
That is
get
what, yeah, so
updated
that has
on-
been what has been
Okay.
here in the audience and on the front door and will be updated to the website.
So kind of an adjustment, but kind of not?
It will need to be officially approved at
Okay.
this point, but it's
Okay.
anticipated that will be approved.
It's different than what was published.
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
Any other changes? All right, so with that change, we get a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say no. Carries 5-0. And now we have, swearing in the firefighters. Gary?
Good evening, Mayor and members of council. Tonight is the recognition of the class of 2023 that we hired. So Justin and Ralph, if you guys would come on up. So roughly, again, just feedback or history is that these gentlemen put in roughly 400 hours of training from EMT to Fire 1, Fire 2, and Hazmat. And then they also have roughly about 6 months of trying to educate them on how the organization runs in itself. So they have a book that they need to go through, and it's signed off within the organization. So they've met all those requirements. Both of them great participants within the organization. So tonight we're going to give them their oath of office and then have their family members come up and provide a badge to them. Gentlemen, if you raise your right hand and repeat after me, please. I, speak your name,
I, Justin Meyer, I, Ralph Ash,
do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
to do my duty as a firefighter
to do my duty as a firefighter
for the city of Dayton
for the city of Dayton
to the best of my ability,
to the best of my ability,
to serve my commanding officers
to serve my commanding officers
with respect and dignity,
with respect and dignity,
to serve the citizens of the city of Dayton
to serve the citizens of the city of Dayton
with compassion,
with compassion,
courage,
courage,
and integrity,
and integrity,
and to uphold the laws
and to uphold the laws
and constitutions
and constitutions
of the United States of America,
of the United States of America,
state of Minnesota,
state of Minnesota,
city of Dayton,
city of Dayton,
so help me God.
so help me God.
Congratulations, guys. It's always difficult to try to get it. Did you get it?
Oh, we got a faulty one.
Is it stuck?
Also, it wasn't him.
It's brand new. Yeah.
Yep.
I didn't get a picture. Yeah. All right, guys, congratulations. Welcome. And you guys, if you like, you guys can go next door.
All right, on to consent.
I have a couple things I'd like to talk about.
Okay, let me get a motion in a second.
I'll make the motion.
Dave, need a second?
I'll second it.
Stephanie, okay, go ahead.
So D, the DCM, the money comes through when the second edition or the outlot D comes in. That's when we get our money for the roads, right? I just had the page and then I jumped off the page.
2 million.
The 2 million, yeah. And then, but there's a time limit on when we get to spend it. And that time limit is 2035. So if this comes in soon, great, we've got 10 years. My concern is what happens if the second edition or outlot D doesn't come through for 5 years? Now we only have 5 years to spend the money and we have to work with the county and we know they're not fast. And now we have to give the money back. So I don't want it to have January 1st, 2035. I want it to say 10 years from when we get the money.
Or not be there at all.
Or not be there at all.
Councilman Van Assen, where are you finding the?
So this
I
is
didn't
a-
work on the DA.
yes.
I apologize.
Okay, that's fine.
What page is it on for the development agreement?
So, okay,
That
for
states
the
that it's not going
development
to come until the
agreement,
second edition or outlot D.
I think it's number 8. I was,
See
yes,
number
okay.
8.
It is, it's number 8, and then it is, and that, it's a page break, right? So it goes on to the next page. So it's
I
at the
see.
very, very end. It says, any interest earned, the city shall expend such funds prior to January 1st, 2035, or the remaining funds shall be returned to the developer.
I see where you're saying the second edition. I understand what you're saying.
Yes, yeah, because we're not going to get that money until that second edition and/or outlot D comes through, but we don't have a clock on that. That could be five years from now, and then suddenly we go from 10 years to spend this money to 5.
Councilmember Van Assen, I will say that I was under the impression that it was supposed to be with this DA, he was to give us the $2 million, and that was based on my conversation with Tom Dean
Okay,
last week at the end of the week. I think it was Thursday I spoke with him.
okay.
So
That's not what this says.
that does not say that in here. I don't disagree with you. So I am fine with either amendment. We'd like to do either one.
I mean, I'd
Either
rather
second
have them-
edition and then say
yeah.
10 years, because that was one of the items that Tom Dean had mentioned that he'd like to see is 10 years, and I think that's an applicable escrow timeline.
That's fair.
Otherwise, it's considered a fee if there's no
Yeah.
timeline on it, and then it's not an escrow dollars, and then we go into the whole aspect of impact fees, essentially what they call that from developers aspect.
Yeah.
So I'm okay with either amendment if you'd like to say with first edition. I don't know, Tom, I don't know if he's here and he's not. If it's first edition or if it's, like as in DCM farms, like this edition, he has to give this $2 million
Yes.
and then we have till 2035. Or if we say 10 years, I'm gonna look to the council to figure out which one uses more appetite.
I prefer either not there or that, I'd go along with 10 years after we get it.
Does that seem more,
Yeah.
a better appetite for the council? Okay. So what we'll do is we'll approve the DA with that amendment. So instead of the date, it'll say prior to 10 years after receiving the funds.
Yes, after receiving the funds, yes,
Um,
yes.
Okay. I apologize because that was not my understanding as well, so.
You know, it might be a good idea at some point to, something came up with this development a couple weeks ago. I'm not sure that everybody understands what a PUD really means. And it'd be nice to know exactly what we're allowed to do, what we're not allowed to do. Because at that point, my understanding is, if it was strict zoning, we could get in trouble for pulling more than our fees require.
Yes,
But it's not. It's a PUD.
it is a PUD.
And so it'd be nice to know what those rules are.
As in, what can we deny and what we cannot deny based on a PUD?
That and what we can, what becomes a public good for that PUD? Because to me, you know, to use this example, that money for the roundabouts
I'm not sure how it becomes a fee if we simply say this is what you get for the PUD. So,
As in what I mentioned with the impact fee versus the
exactly.
escrow dollars.
Exactly. Because I agree, it's an impact fee on a strict zoning, but I'm not sure how what the rules are with the PUD.
I do not have that answer for you, Mayor, but I will get that for you as much as I can. I'll look to Amy Schmidt to help me out with grabbing that legal description and such, so.
Sarah,
That was it for that one, but I have another one. So the other one was item G. It's about is it Buncey or Bunchy? Or Bunce production, which I have no problem with that, it's just a clarification. It says near the end of the background, the Dayton Police also provide traffic control. And then it says, staff wanted to request that with the police time be waived from invoicing for traffic control. This is being tracked and would go against the budgeted amount. Can you just clarify? I didn't understand that.
So there's a
Go ahead.
$25,000 budgeted amount.
$22,000.
$22,000 amount budgeted to give away services for festivals and/or, like we waived the fees for Operation Zero. They had just requested that all fees be waived, including the application fee for the large assembly.
Okay.
Bunce just historically has always paid it.
Okay.
And then, being that they're nonprofit and we have not invoiced others for police services, we thought it would
Okay.
be appropriate to request that it be part of that budget item.
Okay.
It was just kind of created so we could kind of track it.
Okay. I just, like I said, I was confused, and I just wanted
And
to
that number is
clarify.
again the same number that's in the 26 budget, just to
Okay.
wrap around to the budget work session. That is the same number in 26.
Okay. And we're fine, we're not like pushing on that, and we're not gonna have.
We've never tracked it before yet.
Oh, okay.
Councilmember Van Esten,
So,
so
maybe we are.
I will let you know near the end of the year where we're
Okay.
at, but for now, this would be the first one that we've waived the fees on that we have actual time against. We've
Okay.
waived the fees for Operation Zero officially, however, the event has not happened, so I don't know how much actual staff time we're
Got
gonna
it.
have towards.
Okay. So, yeah, like I said, I had no issue with the item, I just wanted clarification on what that meant. So does that mean also like the concert that was just on last Friday, was there police presence or police there for that one?
I don't think so.
Okay.
Police was not requested, so we
Okay.
just did drive-throughs with
Okay.
the on-duty officers.
So how often, like, would this be, like, how many do we think this is happening for? Or hence, that's what we're tracking, because we would have no
3 to
idea.
5?
Three
Okay.
to
Five,
five,
probably.
yeah,
Okay.
depending on the
Buns Heritage Day, what's the other one? Oh,
Operation Zero.
Okay.
Magnus usually has
Another
the
one.
Another one.
family and friends thing.
Yeah.
Where they request some
Yeah.
fees to be waived as well.
Okay.
And then we had, I don't know if we've had Riverfest before or not, I don't remember, but it's somewhere between 3 and 5. I
Okay,
think that's
okay.
applicable.
But nonprofit is kind of our, like, guiding
Yes,
principle
yeah.
on that one,
Yep.
so, okay.
Kind of been.
Okay. Okay, thank you. I just, like I said, I wanted clarity on that, and I think that's it for me. Let me go over my notes, but if someone else has one.
Good.
I have a list.
Go ahead.
Sorry. But
Good.
back up to the minutes. Under item N, we're talking about the East French Lake Road mill and overlay, and I guess the way that it's written is just unclear to me. It says, Dowd explained that this project would use pavement management funds rather than state aid dollars. Dowd noted that no pavement management dollars were required for South Diamond Lake Road. I guess I just am a little bit confused on what that is trying to say, where we are or are not using pavement management versus state aid dollars.
Sure. So the minutes are done by AI now, so it takes exactly word for word or summary as best as it can.
Well, then that assumes that we're making sense when we're talking.
That would mean that I wasn't making sense when I was talking, so it's true. So the idea is
Maybe it's fine as it is, and I'm just.
payment management dollars will be used for or anticipated to be used for the 125th and East French Lake Road
Right.
project. State aid dollars are going to be utilized for the South Diamond Lake Road project, which is currently going on and will be finished end of the month. So that's the clarification.
Yeah, take a look at it.
We could take a look and see if we can clarify that
It's
better.
just my confusion, that's fine, I can live with that. Under item B, looks like we had quite a few repairs to engine 21, and I'm wondering, Chief, if you could enlighten us on what that was about.
Yes, Councilman Vachant. I think it was roughly about 12 or 13,000. There's 3 or 4 different categories. So we had to have a radiator repaired, rebuilt and replaced, or rebuilt, I should say. We can't buy them new. That was roughly about $8,000, I believe. And then the rest of it was numerous valves on the truck that were leaking that needed to be repaired.
Okay, thank you. On page 17, still under item B, we transferred money out, maybe you want to say, on the Graco TIF. Is this money that we collected in real estate taxes that is now
Yes.
going back to them under that TIF agreement?
That is correct.
Okay, then under item D, number 11, this is on page 39 of our packet. It talks about, in that development agreement, about dewatering, and I found of course, I'm not going to get to that page.
You said 39.
39 of our packet. Okay, and it talks about, in number 11, due to the variable nature of groundwater levels and stormwater flows, it will be the responsibility of the developer and the developer's contractors and subcontractors to satisfy themselves with regard to the elevation of the groundwater in the area. What does that mean, to satisfy themselves?
That would be, it would be up to them to determine on how far they need to dewater the groundwater to be such they feel safe for working conditions and to be able to construct the improvements as specified.
And are there standards that drive that?
To be honest, I'm not aware of any regulatory standards. I think it's more of a comfort level of, but that being said, you do need some buffer, if you will, between the bottom of the trench where they're excavating for the pipe and where you actually place the materials. Otherwise, it'll be squishy, for lack of a better term.
Okay, I mean, I'm sure they don't want to be standing in water, but it just seems odd to me that it's kind of on their own.
Self-policed, or
Yeah.
self-regulated.
Well, I think it's somewhat regulated by Stantec, so they're out there verifying, but.
We're out there verifying, and
I mean-
it would be significantly a safety concern on their part, so they'd be required to make sure that their trench is stabilized in safe working conditions.
Okay. And, let's see, item J, this was the joint powers agreement with the school board over the crosswalk and the improvements on South Diamond Lake Road. It mentioned that they were going to have a meeting for final approval, I think yesterday. Did we hear what the result of that meeting was?
I did not. That's a great point, and I did not follow. I asked them to check in with me today, and they did not, and I forgot to check with them. I will do so right now. I don't expect an answer before the end of the meeting.
Fashion, I received a signature for the JPA today in my inbox from Adobe. I didn't sign it obviously because it's not been approved yet, but I would presume that that means that they passed it last night, but I don't know that for a fact, so.
It would be nice to confirm that. And
Yeah, I would say that I think it's
pretty straightforward
pretty likely
deal,
that it
but
did because I got an approval for a signing of the Adobe document, but I will follow up.
So that work that is completed, that was the project.
So that's part of the work. I think there's supposed to be refuge islands supposed to be put in the middle of them when we do the mill and overlay project.
So there's more coming.
There's more coming, yeah.
Okay.
So there's supposed to be a refuge island put between
They'll
them.
be starting on the concrete work tomorrow. They're going to pull out the existing pavement and put in the concrete in.
I was just thinking that wasn't very much for $219,000.
I was told they're at least scheduled to start the mill and overlay process next Wednesday, which means I would expect that these improvements would be done by that point, so they probably have another week of work.
Okay. I mean, it's the school's deal, so it doesn't really.
It's a grant dollars. It's not
Right.
paid for anything by us, but
Yeah.
I would agree.
Okay, thank you. Last item, I promise, on this. Part of the, this is item L, part of the change order for, change order 4 for wellhead treatment was for a custom color on some doors. I'm wondering why that is a charge?
The supplier didn't match the color that we needed, so they had to custom mix the color, to meet our spec. That's basically what it is. It wasn't a standard color that they supplied.
Doesn't Hirschfield's kind of do that for you when you pick up the paint?
Get them, Dave, get them.
I guess, but it's just the supplier that we're using didn't do it that way, so the extra was $238, and I figured, well, to keep the project moving, let's do the $238.
Okay.
I know.
I wouldn't pay it, but I know we don't do that. Okay, that's all I got.
I did find my other ones, also on B.
Go ahead.
Page 14, Connexus. There's street lights. Most of them are like it's $40, $64, $251, and then one of the street lights is $2,388. And I'm just wondering why one street light is so much higher than all the other street lights. Like, is there something, like, is it like, why? Just confused me.
I'm not going to be able to answer that. I'll have to look into that.
So which one are you looking for? $2,388 one you're looking at?
Yeah, so it says, so 172516 dash, I'm assuming ST stands for street, so it's street lights. And like all the other ones are like I said, 40, 60, one's 251, which I think actually would have bothered me before I saw the 2,388 number and was like, what is going on with that street light?
I don't know the answer, Councilmember Van Asten, but I'm going to guess it's a group of streetlights and not just one.
Which is,
I'm going to presume that it's Pineview, but I don't know that for an answer.
Okay.
So we will follow up.
I mean, if it's representing a bunch and the other ones are one, that makes sense. Like, right? If this is 10 lights to a single light, I would understand. But for 100 lights. So that was my first question. Second question is, we paid $4,000 for a global search subscription. What are we searching for globally?
So global search is actually our documents storage for long-term software. So it's other programs are like Laserfish. That's typically heard of. Global search we have better luck with, and it's easier to search things, and we can sort things by agreements and contracts and property files and such like that. So it's our online storage, not searching globally.
Okay. Well, because at my work we have search, but that's like when we're searching for employees and we go through like employment searches. So that I was like, we don't hire enough people to be spending. So, but that makes more sense to me. And then last one was about Metro West inspection on page 20. We pay them a lot of money, and we've now had a couple of things come up where they have missed. They missed something in my own barn, and very luckily for me, one of my hay guys is a structural engineer, and he walked through my barn and said, "You're missing some structural supports." I was like, well, that's odd because it passed inspection, and it turned out my structural engineer hay guy was correct. Very grateful for Warren. But like Metro West was there. Why did they not catch it? Why is the city paying them to inspect buildings and they are not catching structural things? They are not catching that there's not a water suppression system. Like, do we have choices? Because I will say I am not impressed. So are there other organizations we can hire? Can we do this in-house? But I was willing to say mine was a one-off, but now we've heard a couple different others, and I no longer think this is a one-off. I think this is a pattern, and I am unhappy. So I'm lucky my barn didn't come down. I'm lucky I happen to have a hay guy who's a structural engineer.
Councilmember Van Asten, there are others that we can utilize. We've been with Metro West for
ever,
as long as I know, and as long as I can go back with documents and records. We can go through that process. The other options are obviously bringing it internally, so we don't pay that. Again, that's more staff level.
So ironically, before we went to Metro West, we had it internal. It didn't go well.
So it really depends on what you'd like to handle and have a conversation with. I think there is a level of trust that Metro West is doing what they're supposed to be doing, to your point, that I can't verify, and no one on this staff can verify what or what not they're doing based on their invoice. I mean, we can verify based on building permits and spot check that they're not just writing it down and pencil whipping it, but that's about all we can do.
I mean, he was,
Orno
So-
has their own too, and I've got a friend in there in the planning commission, and they routinely miss stuff. Inspectors miss stuff. You're talking about a level, and that's hard to judge. It's hard to know what that means, what that level is,
So,
but yeah, inspectors, they miss stuff.
yeah, so if that is something that the council would like to do, we can most certainly look to doing an RFP process. If we'd like to look somewhere else, that's most certainly fine. We do get a good financial deal with Metro West versus others, so we are on an hourly rate versus a percentage rate. A lot of the other contractors that I'm aware of that do this service are on percentage rates. So for example, they will collect 100% of the plan review fee and 75% of the permit fee. So whatever the fee is, we collect 25% of that, and then the contractor gets all of the rest. Versus right now, we get an hourly rate, so we do our best to figure out, okay, on average, how much time do they spend, and that's about how much time we spend on the permit, but
so,
if that makes sense.
We should certainly point it out to Metro West, because probably nobody has said anything to them.
I would presume not.
They don't even
This is the
know.
first I'm hearing about it,
Right,
so.
right.
so how do we, is there a way to go about, though, maybe my one thing and this, fire suppression, those were one-offs. Are there, do we want to put do we want to say, hey, if you had an issue, let us know? How do we, because if I were not on council, I would never have known it, I would never have brought this up. I was mad, and then I spent 3 months getting my contractor to come out and fix the thing that was supposed to be right in the first place. So, how do we know, are these just weird one-offs, or is this an endemic issue? Because what happens if my barn would have fallen down in a storm?
Your insurance would have given you a new one.
Maybe. But if they could come back and be this wasn't here, this structural piece that was supposed to be here wasn't here. And I would say, well, the city inspector passed it.
Yeah. I worked for a production company for a long time. We get rid of all our inspectors because it was so expensive and they didn't catch problems. So really, I don't know how we measure that. I agree that, especially the fire suppression,
incident is a
that
big
seems
deal.
like a big deal.
That's a big deal.
That's a big deal.
Yeah, I don't know how we measure that, and if we get another company or if we bring it in-house, are they any better? I don't know how we know that. I will tell you that they will be more expensive though, because Metro West is charging us.
Yep.
Pennies?
Well, it's not necessarily pennies, but it's specific fees instead of percentages.
And they may be inspecting it from Corcoran too. I'm not kidding.
Depending, I know when I did my roof, I just had to send them a picture.
Yeah.
That was the $50. So, yeah.
I mean,
I don't
if
disagree,
we
it's
feel
just-
like they're all going to be garbage, we might as well go with the cheapest garbage option. I mean, if that's what if that's what I'm hearing, if they're all going to be ineffectual, then why waste money on something that's not going to do a good job no matter what?
First step deserves a call to Metro West. And
Yeah, so there's some next steps we can try to do. If the council wants to, we can put something out on the website and say if you've had an issue and a problem with Metro West, let us know by email or contact or something. So we can address these with Metro West. I know that they've gone through 2 or 3 ownerships since I've been here in 4.5 years, which probably doesn't help either.
No.
But again, that doesn't give them the ability to just say it's not done properly either. So staff's willing to do whatever the council wants us to do.
I have one thing.
Well,
I say call them
Sorry.
first.
There was a long.
Start there. That's where I would start. Just make them aware that, hey,
That's what
this is
council
the
want me to
second
do.
incident in the last 2 months.
That we're aware of.
And the first one was a big deal.
Do they have a response to that yet, or do we? Have we
Yes, I will provide that out. I meant to provide it on this week's weekly update. I apologize.
Oh, okay.
I will get it on this week's weekly update. I meant to get it on last week's.
To put a very one-word summary on it, did they say it was this guy's fault? That's what I thought.
But they came to a resolution, all of them as a group. I sat and kind of mediated the meeting, and they came to a resolution that will work, and it sounds like that's something that will get done by until next year when they can install the whole project. So.
Right, but, so Metro West blamed somebody else.
No, they took responsibility for what
they
they
did?
Yes.
Oh.
Yep.
Okay.
That's a good sign.
Yep.
So I mean, if I don't know how much cost it is for staff time, but I would be interested to know how widespread the issue is. Is it just one or two things? Because then fine. But if it's like widespread and we have like a whole sea of people coming forward being like, they never showed up, they never did this, I never had that, then I think it's worth a wider conversation. But how, like, I don't also think it's worth a ton of money to sink into this.
So I got two options. I can call.
You can call.
Or I
you
can put something on the website,
yes.
or I can do
What do
something
people-
else.
what
And I
are-
don't mean I mean
Yes.
somebody on the team.
Well, so if they already had the conversation,
Well, they haven't had the conversation
Not about
in
my
our
issue,
barn.
but-
oh,
I
sure.
mean, that's certainly, I think it's worth calling them again. And you can start there. I mean,
I would
I would be
rather
willing
have
to
them.
bet if we critique a lot of the home building that's going on in this city, there's issues all over the place, but we don't know about them, so.
I think for sake of relationships, a call may be your first step, instead of blasting them out on the website of,
Right.
hey, we don't like your services, and they're like, well, we weren't aware there were complaints. So I think for sake of like business relationships, that I think a call would be the first step.
Okay.
And then maybe ask them if there's a process they would like to use for identifying concerns or issues.
Correct, and what the best way that
Yes.
either people or the city can let them know, and like
Yes.
what does their process look
Yes.
like, and how.
Okay, I can,
You know,
I
to
can
move
live with
forward.
that. I like that.
Okay. Sounds good. I can do that. Thank you very much.
That was my last thing. Okay.
I have one thing, I didn't mean to interrupt you earlier. I have a question, excuse me, on page 12, there is a payment for Care Resource Connections, and I know that Amy looked to come in and presented a couple months back, I'm not sure what month that was, but I'm not sure what that contract is structured like, because this is the first payment of claims we've seen from them, and it's $5,250, and so I'm just wondering, is this like a one-time, is this, you know, looking back, is this looking forward to the end of the year, and then what can we expect moving forward, is for like next year, or do we need to approve another contract, just where are we at with them, I guess would be my question.
Councilmember Henderson, the $5,200 is for 2025, so that's through the end of the year. And then we can anticipate that for next year, it'll be $6,000.
Will we get end of the year kind of update? Again, like, I think this is a really great service. I stand behind them. It's not a negative or a critique of them. I'm just wondering if we will get an end of the year. This is kind of what we got for that, what the value was for those dollars that we spent. Just can we anticipate, or could we ask for an update before the end of the year, at the end of the year?
Councilmember Henderson, yes, I actually do have kind of an update, because I did make a recent request of them to look at how many calls they've had, what they anticipate that saved us in call response.
Oh, okay.
So that was just done recently this week, so I'm happy to provide that to Zach, and he can pass that on.
That would be wonderful.
Hopefully it makes sense. I need to take a look at it. I briefly looked it over, but we can ask questions back, because it was more of a scientific guess a little bit, kind of based on future calls.
Okay.
I think Councilmember Henderson, I think your question is valid. I'm sure we can get a year-end summary report from Care Resource Connection to get that taken care of for the council. I don't think that's something that's out of the ordinary, but since this is say last year was a trial run, and they gave us a kind of a free trial run to see how it went.
That's exactly why I'm asking.
We didn't really know what we were going to get and how it was going to work, so I think your point is valid, and how do we get that summary of what that helped us with is a valid point, so.
And then can I ask kind of not a leading question, but maybe a tangent off of that? Is that what we're projecting, $6,000, is that already baked in to our budget, into the cake? Okay.
Yeah, and that would not be in any of the full-time, part-time.
No. I'm just making sure that we've
Professional
accounted.
services, yes.
Okay, that we've accounted that $6,000 would be spent, just so
That is
that
the
we
plan.
know that if the council says, yep, this is a really great service, which I believe it is, we should be paying this money, it was worth the $6,000, then we move forward with that. I just want to make sure that we know, or we know what to expect of what we will be paying out, and, you know, the services that we got, considering it was a trial, we have half of 2024, 2025, really to see that benefit that they brought to our citizens.
Yep. But yeah, that $6,000 is within the professional services line item budget for the fire department.
Perfect. I appreciate that.
I got one thing.
Good.
I just want to thank you guys for scrutinizing the payment of claims. We are now 32 minutes over schedule.
You're welcome.
Taking the pressure off of me.
I've got a couple other questions. No. Thank you for bringing that one up.
All
It was
right.
on my list.
Oh, was
Okay,
No worries.
so, do we have any more comments about payment of claims, or consent agenda?
Can I ask a question? Should we just pull payment of claims every time and just pull it off? I'm fine with that. We're good with that if that's what you want to do. I mean, that's good, but we're trying to make consent agenda easy and simple for everybody, and it seems like that one has the
Every
most
time.
questions every year,
Every time.
which is fine. Sounds like that, okay.
I like it.
Okay,
I don't think it could hurt.
we'll pull it off. That sounds good.
Okay, all right, we already got a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All those opposed say no. Carries 5-0. We are on to open forum. Anybody here for open forum? No way.
Your partner in crime isn't here.
She probably sent the list.
She has her own list.
Yeah.
Keith Grover, 113th and Fernbrook. Just a couple of things. And I'm going to keep bringing these up until I see the problems go away, but the line of sight issues on the intersections on Rush Creek Parkway. Every time I drive through there and every time I go through one of those intersections where the plantings in the middle of the road obscure my vision of a kid possibly coming across the road, or even a car maybe coming across from the adjacent stop signs on the roads that cross that road. I know I've talked to you guys about that before. It's still an issue. I haven't seen us do anything about it. I just wonder, what do we need to do in order to facilitate that, to fix that issue that we currently have, and to make sure that any new roads that we're putting together don't have those obstructions on line of sight on intersections. I know last month I mentioned that some of the developments up off from Dayton Road, the one where the pool sign was, I forget the name of the development, Dennis.
Riverwalk?
Yeah, Riverwalk. Some of those intersections up there were designed so wide so that the median plantings are not an issue when you come to the intersection, because the intersections are so wide. Rush Creek Parkway is not designed that way. It's a very small intersection. Anything that's planted on those corners on that median between the two lanes becomes an obstruction to you seeing traffic, cross traffic, kids going across.
Yeah, there's a cross one. I don't remember. I think it's one of the first ones you come up to, and that's got all kinds of grasses on it, and you can't see through that one either, but.
Can I address this a little bit?
Yeah, go ahead.
So we are aware of the situation out there, Keith, and we've been talking with residents out there for a while. The medians are split between two ownerships. The part closest to the Fernbrook up to Creekside Lane, I think, is owned by a HOA. I have directed residents to talk to their HOA to get that address. The other section of that is city. We are going to be going out there this week to cut down the grasses. We'll be replacing those grasses with some other plantings that are more appropriate in that area. There's a couple of areas where there's a lot of trees in there. We'll be removing some of those trees and transplanting them elsewhere, probably in the park area in the fall.
That's terrific. Thank you. The other issue on that same road, Rush Creek Parkway, that I was going to bring up, and I think it's going to be fixed when they get done with South Diamond Lake Road, the painting of the arrows on the road and stuff. And I'm glad for that. It kind of bothers me that it's been over a year since that was pointed out for us to get that done. I mean, I don't understand how all the wheels work and all the hopes that need to get jumped through, but a year just seems to be too long of a time for us to actually get the road markings put on that road properly when they should have been there when that road was built and that intersection was developed in the first place. So whatever we need to do to make sure that happens in a timely manner, I think we should do that, because it's just, people's lives are at stake because of those non-markings, I guess, for lack of a better thing. And thanks for Marty for putting up the right sign. The county put up the wrong sign, and Marty got a hold of them and had them fix that. So at least the signage is there, but we still don't have the painting on the road. And hopefully that'll be done in the next couple of weeks, I would hope, right?
Might be a little longer, but after they're done with the overlay.
The other thing I wanted to bring up briefly is at 117th in Fernbrook, the land adjacent to the southwest corner of that intersection that's part of the new DCM development has, for my whole lifetime, been a farm field. Now it's a weed field. And the weeds are so high that it obscures traffic when you're trying to come out to go south, or especially to go north to see whether there's any northbound traffic coming. I'm not sure whose responsibility that is, to make sure that the weeds aren't such that it's a great big, I don't know the names of the weeds, and I should because I'm a farm kid, right? But they're very obstructive. And I don't know who to make that
I don't know if we can
that
do anything
request
about it
of.
if it's not in right away.
So Mayor and Members of Council, we'll just contact Tom Bean and have him cut him down.
I think part of it might be in the right of way, and part of it might be on the county right of way, and part of it might be the field that's just not getting farmed anymore, and weeds are growing like crazy on it, so.
Yeah. Mayor and Members of Council, we can talk to Tom Dean and have him send somebody out there and cut him down. So.
That'd be great.
Yep.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Anybody else? Anybody online?
We do actually have people online, and unfortunately our Zoom is not working with some of the issues that we've been having, so I'm confused why they've stayed online, because I don't think that they can hear us or contribute, but I do have a message out there to go to our live stream.
Okay, so, okay, we will move on. Staff consultant council updates. Zach.
Clicker's dead. I apologize. I don't have anything. Sorry. Mayor and Members of Council, thank you so much.
I've had recently a few complaints, specifically about the mailing in Dayton, because we have 4 different zip codes. And so everyone with an Osseo zip code is having issues getting things delivered, because I think a lot of times they put down that they live in Dayton, and for whatever reason, even if they have the correct zip code, that's causing mail issues. I'm not sure there's anything that we can do as a city to resolve that, but I am.
Who determines zip codes?
The post office.
Okay. Can we put a request to the post office to change
I think
that?
we have previously written a letter wanting to explore what a single zip code for Dayton looks like, and I don't know what threshold we need to get to or a correct contact. So.
My experience is they're not much, they're actually worse than the county to get cooperation. So they're very.
Is it worth sending that letter again? If you've already written it, can you just forward the exact same letter?
I can look into that, yep.
I mean, if you've already written it, and it's just a matter of hi again.
That's all I have.
Do you want us to write that? Hi again.
Great.
Marty?
That's good.
Mayor and Council, just a couple of updates. The wellhead treatment plant, the next couple of weeks, the masons are still working on the exterior block there. There's the below grade reclaimed basins that were poured last year. They're grouting those out to make sure that they're sloped correctly. They're installing piping throughout the building. There's a lot of piping going in, and electricians and plumbers should start work inside the building in the next 2 weeks. So it's moving along. With parks, the irrigation project that we got going on, we finally got the meter set at River Hills Park today. There'll be power at that one connection tomorrow, and then we can get the wells operating there. The wells are operational at Elsie Stevens and Hayden Hills. Iron Gardens, the system is in there and ready to run. We're coordinating with the contractor who's doing the park improvements, because they've got some work to do around the playground area. I will be coordinating with the tree supplier to get the trees planted before we go in and do some fine grading and reseed the project. Public Works is going to do the trees and the fine grading and the seeding. Sundance Greens, the system is ready to run over there. Public Works has got to do fine grading and seeding at that site as well. Hayden Hills, there's a couple of minor items that need to be adjusted before it's ready to run. Those should be complete this week. And then Public Works is going to do a little bit of grading in there to make it easier to mow. And then we're going to oversee Dept Park as well. Area 21 Park, working on stormwater management issues at the moment. Parking lot is graded. The sports courts, the pickleball, basketball and volleyball are graded, and concrete is installed around the perimeter on those. The playground containment box is graded and drain tile has been installed. The concrete is all poured except for an access point so we can get all of the playground equipment in and out without damaging the concrete. Elsie Stevens master plan, I guess they had a great turnout at the pop-up event on Friday. They've taken all that information back and they're refining the concepts from the information they received. They're working on high-level cost estimates, and I'm anticipating sharing something with the next Park Commission meeting and then the following council meeting so you can review those. The DNR boat landing, we presented 4 concepts for boat and kayak launches at the DNR site in the Old Village. From comments received, MSA are refining those 4 concepts down to 2, which will be shared with the Park Commission and the City Council before proceeding with final design.
So MSA created those?
Yeah.
Those 4 concepts?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And then Elsie Stevens canoe kayak launch, we're struggling to get all of our paperwork done for the federal funding, but we're pretty close to that, and we are waiting to get approval from MPCA for a 401 permit to work in that particular area on the Mississippi. The approval process is expected to be completed in the fall with MPCA. The expectation is the project will be bidding for a spring 2026 construction now. And I think that's all I have. Yeah.
Marty, the privacy fences, those even gone up yet, or are they still for the porta potties?
We've got the one up at Sundance, and that's kind of our test run on those. Sure. We had one trial run on it, and people didn't like what we did, so we adjusted it, and I haven't had any complaints. So we will go ahead and put those around the other porta potties that are out there.
Okay. How about the basketball hoop at the activity center? Is that still?
Yep, Mayor and Council, I know that Marty and I have been working on the basketball court at Activity Center.
We were talking about this the other week. And since we talked, there's a new grant funding allocation coming out with Hennepin Youth Sports Grant, so I was going to apply for those basketball hoops to be grant funded from those guys.
Okay.
If that does not work, then we can utilize our dollars to be able to do it. We prefer not to use tax levy dollars on that if we don't have to.
Yeah.
The idea is, from Marty and I's perspective, is to install one permanent one at some spot in the parking lot there.
Sure.
And then have one movable one so that if the kids want to make a full court game or something,
I see.
they can then move the removable one. Our only concern is the movable one, it may go missing.
Maybe removed far, far away?
It may go far, far away. So if at least one's in there, at least they always have one, and then we'll trust that.
How much money are we talking about here, though?
Not much. I mean,
for the permanent, for the one that you actually sink in the ground.
Yeah, there'll be one. Yeah, we'll sink one in the ground.
How much is it? I don't know what the price was on it.
Yeah, I would think it'd be like.
No.
Well, if we go with the ones that we have in the other parks that are really robust, they're about $3,000 each.
Which is why we're asking for grant money.
Yeah, all right.
We'd like to keep one that would be at least last more than 2 seasons if we did it, but we can look at cheaper ones if the council would like to do that, just to put something up.
Yeah, I don't know.
You're getting grant money, I guess, who cares?
Yeah.
Well, do you have a timeline on the grant money at all?
The application is got to be in by the end of September.
I thought it was
and
end
we'll
of
probably
September.
find out early.
Okay, so this is probably not happening till spring.
Till spring, I would say.
Okay.
Is this a priority for, sorry?
No,
Is this
just
a priority for the mayor and
there's-
the council? And we're happy to just do it.
I just bring it up because there's a family downtown that tends to, there's a lot of kids that tend to center in the area, and they're always looking for
Something to do.
some way to
Okay.
play basketball.
Let Marty and I talk tomorrow morning, and then we'll come up with something. If
Okay.
it's something that we said we can come up with something that'll work in their budget, then we'll make it work and we'll just forego the grant. But that was our thought, is just because we can use grant money. we
Sure.
can do that.
Yeah, that makes sense. Okay. Gary?
Good evening, Mayor, members of the council. A couple weeks ago, I talked about the Minnesota Air Rescue Team coming to do some training. Unfortunately, the pilot was sick from the State Patrol, so that was canceled for last week. I will send out a hyper-reach notification to River Hills again in that area if we're to do that again because of the helicopter flying around. But that's rescheduled for a future date.
Evening, Mayor, members of the council. National Night Out was last Tuesday. We had approximately 30 parties. Thank you to all the neighborhoods that hosted. And thank you to Officer McAlpine for organizing the event. I think it went off great. Seemed everybody enjoyed it. So thank you. Other than that, no updates.
Jason?
Contractor bids for the 125th and East French Lake Road project were open this morning. Came in once again very, very favorable. We actually started with the pricing that we received early in the year, thinking it wouldn't be duplicated given it's later in the season with the tighter timeline. However, they came in even lower. So our estimate was just under 700,000.
Yep.
No, actual was under,
And the actuals were just under 600. I'm off on that.
I think you're off $100,000.
We were just under 800 and the
Yes.
bids came in at just under 700.
Yep.
So those will be presented to council at the next meeting for official award of the contract. And then I just wanted to mention, I was able to confirm the joint powers agreement with the school was approved at their meeting yesterday.
Oh, thank you.
Amy?
No report from me.
Scott?
I got one thing. Kudos to Marty for getting the park ready. For last Friday, that event went off way better than expected, in my mind anyway. Good deal. Worked out good.
I appreciate that, Scott. I'll share it with my guys.
That's all I got.
Okay.
For now.
So, one thing, you had sent out, Zach, the fee comparison, and I got a chance to glance through it, and it looks like we are actually lower in the residential fees and like compared to everybody else, and higher in the commercial industry and industrial fees. So I wasn't sure if that's something we want to look at as a city, is like getting a little bit more in line, or if we're happy with where it is. But that was my big takeaway from that, was like we are definitely, like particularly for the residential, like I think we were lower than almost everyone else when I compared, I think maybe one other city, but like we were low, and then we got to industrial and we were high. So balancing that might be a way that wouldn't have a huge impact on our budget, but might be, a little bit more favorable or more appetizing for industrial commercial, unless of course we don't want that and we'd prefer residential, in which case like our fees are driving our development that way. So that was kind of my takeaway from that. I really appreciate that document, and I'm hoping we have a chance to talk about it more, maybe at a future meeting. One thing that came up was about your concert. Some members of the community reached out to ask why the city council approved the late night music at a park that is across from neighborhoods. And I was like, I don't recall approving that. And so that brought the question up of like, should that have gone through? Because we have one on the agenda actually tonight for someone asking to go past the 10 p.m. for music.
Yeah, there's one.
Okay.
So
Nine,
really
actually.
Was it? Okay.
It was 9.
It was over by 9.
In fact, I think
9,
they
10.
just stopped a little early.
So,
Okay.
Yeah.
That's
Thanks for
only
getting your money
because
back.
of the weather that we pushed it out.
Okay.
Otherwise, it was going to clear around 10.
Okay. So I just wasn't sure, and like I was a little out of it. I wasn't able to attend because I was home on narcotics. So I had surgery last week. So I was.
Thanks for clarifying.
Not just for funsies, but no, I had surgery on Wednesday, and so I was still very much abed, enjoying that, and not allowed to drive anywhere. So I was unable to attend. But I just was wondering, but if it ended before 10, then that's why. Okay. So,
Yeah. The parks are open from, what's it, dawn till dusk.
Yeah.
And dusk isn't really a defined term, so depends on what dusk is, but I understand your point is, Councilor Van Essen, I think in the future we'll just have more of a approval of an agreement, or
Yeah.
approval like we have on the agenda.
yeah,
tonight.
just like what we have right here for that.
And
Okay.
next time, just tell them to leave town for a day.
I don't think we get to do that, Scott. Okay, so that was my question on that one. That was that one. And then I was able to attend the open house for the Dayton River Road thing. I think was that 2-3 weeks? I don't know. Time has no meaning currently. But a lot of the feedback from members of the audience is, when is that bridge in Dayton getting built? And that was like the bulk of the feedback. And I felt bad for the guy who kept trying to redirect to like, that's not what we're here to talk about, folks.
Was this, this sounds like the same.
Yeah, basically.
Same one we went to. Right?
Yeah, it was copy and paste. I don't know why they had to, because there was literally no new information there. And all of the comments from the crowd were the same of when is that bridge in Dayton getting built? So I was just wondering what are we doing as a city on that topic?
So we will have a conversation on the 26th. That's kind of the planned item for myself, is to get better direction from the council of what you'd like to see in the future transportation plan for Dayton.
Okay.
Again, this is a discussion item, not a, you're going to formally approve anything.
Yeah.
Discussion item so that we can start preparing for that 2050 comp plan. I forget what year it always is, but since it's 20 years old, 2050 comp plan, and that gives staff direction of what to move forward with.
Okay.
But that will be the general conversation, again, discussion at the next council meeting.
Yes.
Will be the
It was
plan.
just, it got hammered hard. And then the guy finally was like, well, you need to find an advocated champion to take this up. And like, there were some people who were like going up and taking notes and numbers afterwards. So I just don't want us to be caught off guard and have someone come at us with an already decided plan. So I think we need to be on the driver's seat on that one. So that was my.
We will do our best to get most robust we can, but I don't anticipate us to go all the way into the weeds with that
Yeah.
council level at this point, just more or less discussion. So.
That's what I'm asking for, is to start having those conversations. So, okay, thank you. That was it.
So I had I don't know if I talked to you guys about, Kathy Powers came in or sent me a message about her backyard. Did anybody get a chance to look at that? No?
No, Mayor, I did not get out there, but I did have a conversation with her neighbor,
Oh,
Mr. Hallquist.
Lee? Oh,
And
yeah.
Lee, yep. And it sounds like there was a 7 to 12-foot pool of water behind his house, because they did a test dig on how far the groundwater is underneath the ground. And it's not that far under the ground, and now it's 7 to 12 feet deep in a hole. So I don't know what the follow-up to that is, besides the fact that they found out where the groundwater level's at.
Was that behind
It is behind Kathy and Lee's house on Tom's property, and it was basically a test dig to figure out what the what the groundwater is doing in that area, essentially. And it took, I guess, a few days for it to fill up from, 20-foot holes now is only, 6 feet deep or so because of the water that's all in there.
So what's the takeaway from that?
I don't know what the takeaways of that are. I'm going to look to engineering because I don't know the answers of what that means. Besides, it didn't affect anything in Lee's basement from his pumping of groundwater, so I don't know an answer.
Just so you guys know, so the message she told me was that since they started, this was her explanation is, since they started digging, she's seen groundwater in her backyard, and she had told me that there's a small spring now. So that seems significant.
Yeah, this is the first I've heard of the hole in the backyard. So I will get a message to our field staff, see what's going on out there. A spring would surprise me, but we'll certainly look at it. They've been using Hago for all their geotechnical explorations, so they've been on site. We can review with them what their take on it is.
Is it pretty sandy out there, or?
No, it's clean.
It is clean.
Yeah, yep.
Okay.
It was explained to me that you can do some sort of a water search from each home to find out if any wells are leaking or.
The water whisperer?
I don't know
There's
nothing about it.
Yeah, there's ways of trying to trace leaks or water flowing underground using high-powered sound magnification.
Okay.
There's ways of doing it. I don't know if it's 100% success, but they're able to find water main leaks often.
Is that a possibility that, I mean, that'd be an awful lot of water coming out of a well to do that.
Yeah, I don't know the situations, but
Yeah.
you could certainly investigate that method.
Okay.
Nothing from me.
I have a question to
Go
start
ahead.
with my council update, and I don't know how much I can say, so I'm looking at you. I'm sure you know what I am referencing. I sent you an email.
You did.
Am I allowed to keep talking, or can I not?
Mayor, members of the council, I think it would be best if we talked about that offline. It's still something that I'm making inquiries about, and it's something that the whole council would need to make a decision and give direction on.
Correct. I think that's why I'm bringing it up, is because at this point, I would like the council to be all privy to the same information and us to have a discussion. So if that warrants a closed session, then I suggest we have that, or is that an open session?
I don't know of an exception under the open meeting law that would apply in this situation. But my intention was to continue kind of unpacking everything that you presented and follow up later this week.
So can I politely request that it be added to the agenda next week, whether it be closed or open, if we have that in 2 weeks, excuse me, that we have a discussion, whatever your expertise is as far as closed or open, but it is a discussion that needs to be had like ASAP.
It's up to you as the council to decide what goes on the agenda, but I would be prepared to.
So do I need to tiptoe around but have approval, or are you already in agreement that?
Just in the interest of transparency, if I could, the issue that Councilmember Henderson is referring to is that she sent me an email requesting a legal investigation into some discrepancies. I don't know if that's the word.
Inappropriate use?
Allegations related to the use of certain funds in the fire department. As I said earlier, I am still kind of unpacking everything that's in that email and making inquiries to see where certain, the accuracy of certain information that was in your email to me. And as I say, I would follow up with the council as a whole with a confidential memo by the end of this week. And then from there, the council could direct staff whether to put it on the agenda for an open discussion.
How would the council direct staff?
Through me.
Through you, okay.
You
I'm just
respond
making
to
sure
me.
that we're going through the proper
Right.
channels. Again, this is my first go-around with anything
Right.
of this nature, and so I'm trying to make sure that I tread lightly and that I follow the proper protocol.
Right.
So-
And so, yeah, if you could, it would be a matter of responding to me, and then I would work with Zach and Amy to make sure that it's on the agenda, if that's the direction of the council.
I will accept that answer. Thank you.
Any more?
No, sorry, I apologize. No, that is all.
Okay, we are on to,
The new item M?
the new item M. So this has been updated to accept resignation of Lieutenant Travis Henderson.
I make a motion to accept resignation.
Need a second?
I'll second it.
I will abstain my vote, just for the record.
You seconded it, go ahead. Discussion.
In his letter, Travis recommended or said that he would be willing to conduct an exit interview with the council. I would be interested in that. I'm not sure if others are interested in that.
Are those individual or are those as a group? And then they're open, right? They can't be closed.
taking those questions in reverse order, yes, it would be open. And to be honest, it is a little unusual for a council as a whole to have an exit interview with an individual employee.
Yeah.
If the council is interested in doing that, we'd have to kind of talk about how that would go so that the information that would be presented was related to Lieutenant Henderson's employment specifically and not about personnel data of other employees in the city so that we kind of keep it on task. So the council would need to have some parameters around what the exit interview would look like. Typically, an exit interview is done with a supervisor, a direct supervisor, not the council as the ultimate hirer and firer of.
Not five layers up?
Correct, not up the food chain to your boss's boss's boss, so to speak. So it's a little unorthodox, but it's really in your discretion as the ultimate decision-making body as to hiring and accepting resignations. And obviously, if I could carry on a little bit longer, sorry. Obviously, Lieutenant Henderson is welcome to have conversations with, is free to and welcome to have any conversations with any individual council member, just as a private matter. It just wouldn't be an official discussion of the council as a whole.
Okay, which is fine. Which, so if the rest of the council is not interested, that's
No,
fine.
I certainly would too, but I mean.
It doesn't have to get formal.
I mean, under the circumstances, I agree with you, you'd be able to talk openly now. So, whether it's an individual call or.
I guess the question
I don't
is.
care if I go to Huddy's for breakfast.
Which is fine.
It's always too busy.
I don't want to, my concern is if all of us are interested in having this conversation, are we running the risk of violating open meeting laws if we each individually talk with him? I guess that's kind of my question.
That is a good question. However, if there's no business in front of the council related to his resignation any longer, then you're not,
Okay.
you wouldn't
Then it's a
be-
resident talking to his elected representative.
Correct.
and That's fine. Okay.
I suspect, to kind of backtrack to what we talked about a few minutes ago, I suspect there'll be some overlap
Okay.
in what would, the follow-up that I'll have to do with Councilmember Henderson's request to me. But at the same time, like I said, it's under the parameters of making sure that it's only, that it doesn't bring into the conversation personnel data about other employees of the city, then, or other private data for whatever, in whatever other classification. It is something that the council is free to schedule. It maybe would be better during like a work session rather than during this, this formal setting. But again, it's not something that typically happens, but it's not unheard of, I guess. Not impossible.
So Scott and I have both indicated that we would be interested in having a conversation, but if, we can do one-on-one conversations, that's fine.
I'm interested in hearing one way or another what Travis has to say. I guess I've long felt and I understand that these are the rules, but when we do employee kinds of conversations in a public meeting just seems absurd to me, and
It is. No one else has to do it.
Mhm.
Right, and I know that's the rules, it just doesn't make
So if
any
it's-
sense to me, and having said that, whatever forum it needs to be, it may be better that those are one-on-one conversations with Travis, the resident, right, versus Travis, the city employee. But if we're going to do something as a group, I would certainly participate in that.
I am kind of more interested in where this other matter goes. And maybe, we could look at it after that. But, I mean, if the majority wants to do that, that's fine by me, but.
I mean, nothing says we can't also do both. We can have individual conversations, and then if, based on those individual conversations, we feel like it needs to be
That is true.
a formal conversation, we can do that. So maybe let's start with individual conversations and see what happens next time.
Yep.
Does that seem okay? Sure.
And without that, I want to add, probably over the last 72 hours, I have heard from 15, 16 residents, fellow firefighters. I'm sure you all did too.
Yep.
Most of it outlining Travis's service to the community. I'll second that. Okay?
All right, so again, a motion and a second. Any more discussion? All those in favor, say aye.
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 All those opposed, say no. We have one abstain, so it passes 4-0.
Can we take a brief moment?
Yep.
All right, that's enough of being a marshmallow.
On to item N.
Excuse me, sorry. Do we need a motion and second before we discuss?
No, let's do
Okay.
that. Let's get sorry, yes, go ahead. Give me a motion and a second. Somebody?
I'll make the motion to approve.
Second?
I can second.
All right, I'll go ahead and discuss.
Oh, a question, I guess, with that. It does say past 10. Are we talking 1 in the morning or?
Midnight,
we
they
haven't-
asked.
Okay.
Too late. Not okay with it. They have neighbors. It's not like, and it's outside. No,
But, yeah, I was just gonna ask, do we know where it's at?
it's on the going to be winery.
Yeah, but is it like down in that kind of valley area, or we don't know?
Ooh, that part I don't know.
Okay.
I think they were asking what I mean, they were requesting midnight and they were asking if the council would be okay with any additional time, if midnight was not acceptable, so just.
What day of the week is that on? September 27th, is that?
Saturday?
Is that? Yeah.
Saturday.
Well, I'll be in Austria then, so it doesn't matter to me.
Because life is all about you, Scott. I struggle with people having amplified outdoor music when they have neighbors, that just, amplified music just travels so far, and I mean, that's the point, right? That's the entire point of amplifying music, is to get it to travel so far. And you have neighbors who did not sign up for this, and do not want this, and do not want to hear it. And so that just, I'd be maybe willing to go to 10:30. But I am a curmudgeon, and I hate fun.
Isn't 10:30 kind of a typical time we?
10 o'clock.
Yeah, I know, but I mean, when we approve these, most of these events, don't they go to 10?
Most times they're 11.
Oh, 11?
We have gone to 11 before with Riverfest.
Well, and my other thing to that, though, is if the band goes till midnight, then people are still there, and the band is still there. Like, everyone still has to pack up and leave. So then your party's actually pushing to 1, right? So, like, if you, 10:30, 11, whatever, at least then people are gone by midnight.
Well, and, yeah, and the music stops when they stop, but yeah, I understand.
Everyone else is still there, and you're still cleaning up, and you're still...
Yeah, but, you know.
And again, it's like, I know it's technically egg, but they have neighbors all around them, right? Now, those Scott brings up a good point. If they put it in the middle of the field, way out there, but I don't see that happening.
No, it's not going to happen.
It's going to be up at the corner where all of their structures are, which is right by all their neighbors.
Yeah, they've got to have power unless they got a generator,
Well,
so.
yeah, so. Or unless it's way out by the son's house, because he lives way...
Yeah, he's in the middle of the...
Then I would be less cranky about it.
I'm really the wrong guy to pick a side.
I know you are, Scott.
So is 11 a better answer?
I would accept 11.
11 it is. I'd be okay with
I'm
that.
okay with
fine with
11, it
11.
sounds like a workable
Only
solution.
because
You asked
we've
for
done
11.
it before. So.
I'm going to be a curmudgeon with that one, too.
I know.
So amend my motion to approve
Bless you.
to 11 PM.
Okay, motion second, any more discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say no. Carries 5-0. On to item O.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. This project's been in front of you previously, I think in April of this year. There's a trunk sanitary sewer that exists under Territorial Road near Highway 81. In about 2010, that line was extended north through what's known as the Stensley property to a point that's located just south and east of the 113th Avenue, which is a dead-end cul-de-sac off of now Dayton Parkway, previously County Road 81. That line is to be further extended to service the area, this will all be clear on the next slide, service area north of here up to and beyond 117th. And again, shown graphically, it can be noted the 1A, if you can see that, that's the previous extension from Territorial Road near 81. And then that was extended up with the dark green line is what indicates existing trunk sewer up to about where that number 6 is. And what we're talking about is the extension from that 6 up to the north, shown in the red oval, if you will. Just to highlight, the highlighted area is the area to be serviced on this line that relies on it, and then just for reference, that which is the red grid, if you will. That's what's been discussed as the DDL property, which includes the currently proposed or has been proposed Oppidan development, so for reference. So in April, council authorized preliminary design of this, basically evaluate some options and look at what the extension should probably look like for this to happen. For a couple reasons, get a better idea of what impacts there might be with the construction, but also a better sense of what the costs might be related to that extension. So upon authorization, a survey was completed of the area, collecting field information. The wetlands were delineated to identify impacts. And we did identify, or at least preliminary look at easements in the area, and an appraiser was contracted to assign valuations to those easements. So we had a better sense going in of what the land rights might be associated with this extension. Based on that information, as is shown on the drawing, we looked at 2 alignments. One of them, I'll just say, is straight north. That's the one shown in red, which just follows its current path and just extends it straight to the north. The next one evaluated was, I'll say, cutting west and then north, and that would align with a potential future roadway through there. We did look at both. We did come to a pretty clear conclusion that alignment 1 is definitely preferred based on the reasons listed. It's significantly cheaper, which is to be expected, just it's a lot less impactful and more right-of-way or more easement is needed for it. Less complicated just because of the coordination with property owners more than anything else, and then access to 113th, because that would be disrupted with it, which would be being a dead end that would be tough to accommodate while that work is being completed. And I'll just note, part of the reason for that previously being a considered alternative was the expected impacts to the existing property owner just off of this extension where it starts. They own a salvage operation in there, and they have stormwater management that's right in this area, and they're heavily reliant on that for their operations. So our initial speculation was that this would be very disruptive to their operations. After discussions with them, they're very open to working with us to make their operations work during the construction, which is great. So they may be able to benefit from the work as well to make improvements or further upgrades to it as our work is allowed to go through there. So just a little background in it, but alignment 1 shown in red is definitely what we recommend going forward with the project.
And we don't foresee any right-of-way issues?
There will be some right-of-way needed or easement needed. There is some existing as well, which makes this unimpactful. Just for a little more detail on that, and we're going to have to work through this. There is some existing easement, but it's listed as drainage only. So we might have to acquire additional rights on it. But either way, we have been in contact with this property owner. They're absolutely open to working with us on the acquisitions of that. There will be some easement needed on the east, but it'll be limited to temporary easement. And additionally, it won't extend any further than the actual wetlands, so it won't take up any additional spots. Or fairly confident that those could be negotiated with the property owners. And even if not, there are some realignment potential that we could accomplish if we had to. A little bit up to the north here, getting into a little more detail. One easement we did not look at is going to the east through this area. We will contact the property owner to see if that's something they would entertain. We feel there's benefit if they were to provide easement, just because on the alignment shown, we're taking away the pretty significant screening. There's some large trees along that corridor, which we could take down, and we could do it without needing additional easement. However, we feel if we shift this to the east, you can't plant 60-foot high trees. We think we're preserving that screening would be of value to that existing property owner, and then even the future redevelopment to that area as well.
And that redevelopment, we don't quite know yet, right?
That's what we got to figure out.
We don't. There's been discussions of something happening in the future, but no formal submittals, at least that I'm aware of.
Well,
but
for that area, where we...
to the...
right there.
Yeah.
What is that currently guided?
I think it's
medium,
low dense.
medium density.
Medium
Okay.
density?
Definitely residential.
And that's kind of what some of the concept plans have shown.
For the
in that
moratorium
area.
figure.
Yeah.
Yeah,
so then
that
you'd
was-
really want those trees.
You'd think that would be of high value. So it preserves the screening and the separation between the land uses, and to be honest, additionally, it makes their connection to the sewer even easier.
Oh.
So
Well,
There could be a lot of wins there.
we expect it to be. It can't say until agreements are executed, but we do expect that they would be willing to work with us on that.
Okay.
What is the additional cost to run it obviously there's wetlands, and we don't want sewage and wetlands getting together. So, like, what are the additional costs to make sure that that doesn't happen?
It's actually pretty minimal because
Okay.
the material below it creates a good separation on it.
Okay.
And then there are some extra, and these will be required anyway with the DNR permitting. They're called seepage collars. So it's just a way of separating, keeping the water from continuously trying to infiltrate that pipe, if you will. But it is a common practice. We do like to keep the structures out of it as much as possible. They're more prone to leaking than the pipe.
Okay.
So we do like to separate those where we can, but again, those we do special lining and different wraps to further prevent any infiltration that might occur, or inflow, I guess would be at that point. But
And it's more the issue of the wetlands getting into the pipe than the stuff in the pipe getting into the wetlands? Is that?
well, both would be
Okay.
bad.
Wait, that's.
You don't want either one. You certainly don't want what's in the pipe getting out because that's
Right.
an environmental concern. You also don't want the water getting in, so
Okay.
you don't want them interacting at all because you're paying to treat that water.
Okay.
So you would be paying Met Council to treat rainwater,
Okay.
filtered rainwater for that matter, because
Yeah.
it's gone through the ground.
Okay.
So.
That makes sense. I never thought, I always thought of it as, obviously you don't want sewage in this, but I never thought about the other way around either, that you also don't want to pay to.
Suddenly your wetland is dry.
We want everything to be sealed very tight.
Where'd that pond go?
Okay, thank you.
So you had mentioned, and, sorry, Evan, but since you were kind of on there, that the wetland piece, that the work may be preferable to do in the winter months.
Yes.
Because easier to drive a vehicle on frozen ground, I guess, and
Yes.
wouldn't we, it seems aggressive to be able to have anything ready to go for this winter, but wouldn't it be to our advantage to specify that it be winter work rather than?
Maybe, and I actually have a slide on just that. So two, I think we can get things prepared in time to allow it for this season. I am reasonably confident that winter conditions will provide benefit to the contractor, just because they disturb much less. And if you've ever seen heavy equipment try to maneuver through sloppy wetlands in the summer, it's brutal.
Yeah.
They drag big mats around to stay on floats. And it's a lot of extra work. When the material is frozen, they'll probably still use some of that, but it goes much smoother. And I'll address this in a couple slides, but our thought is to leave the window open. We think we can get bids or contract awarded, hopefully even early December.
There's gotta be less work
And then
in the
give
wintertime.
flexibility. So if for any reason, somebody does come in and say they would rather do it in the spring, which can certainly be done, it's just additional provisions that they have to supply for it. But if they feel they could do it cheaper, they could bid it either or. At least that's our thought at this time. Did that address?
Yes,
Okay.
thank you.
So just the cost to it, we did put a closer construction cost to it, if you will. Looking at some of the information, there's still some unknowns in there that'll be flushed out with the further design, but we have the whole project cost at about $815,000 as of right now. And just to note, the funding sources would be the city sewer fund predominantly. With the Oppiton or other developments in the area, they would be supplying fees with that could be directed towards this to help with the payment. And then additionally, if there's any shortfalls or desire to do so, we could work with any developers, including Oppiton or others, for direct contribution towards this, because everybody north of this benefits from it. We're just at this strange point where we have to get 800 feet or whatever that is to realize the benefit. So we're kind of at that first point. Once we get to that, then it's all direct connections to service from the pipe. And then just the project schedule. And here's where I mentioned, and the only reason there's two columns is just as was pointed out, kind of leaving the two options, if you will, for the construction window, whether that be over frozen conditions or first thing in the spring when they're able to get out there during what I'll say a more typical construction season. Either way, we're hopeful to get information back in front of you in November. It'll be a tight time schedule, and it may be dependent on the land rights. That'll probably be the biggest piece on it. We feel we have a good case for it, and we've had conversations with property owners. So we're optimistic about it, but again, until the documents are executed, we can't guarantee anything, so our intent is to move forward, have that in front of you in November, October, so we can open bids and award in November. I said that wrong. And then start construction in December, if they choose that option. So that was the thinking behind it. And then the final completion date would be altered slightly, only because if they complete the work in the winter, they do restoration right away in the spring. If they wait with work in the spring, the restoration doesn't take place until that work is complete, which pushes it back a couple months. But regardless, we shouldn't be in a time crunch, if you will, to get this online, because even if any development moves today, they're not going to be ready for sewer by August of next year anyway. Or if they are, they did a great job. They pull off a good feat. So our recommendation, there's a proposal for engineering services that would take it, it's listed as final design, that would be for services all the way through the project, should it continue. But all we're asking for is authorization on the final design portion of that proposal at this time. And then we do recommend moving forward with the easement acquisitions immediately. That'll be the critical path in delivering the project. So that's all I had.
All right, need a motion and a second.
I make a motion.
I'll second.
Discussion? I got nothing. We good? Good.
Good.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say no. Carries 5-0. On to P, playground equipment supplier selection.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. I'm here to get a recommendation for the equipment supplier for Area 21 Park. I presented a couple of months ago with a recommendation from the Parks Commission. Council requested I look at another supplier, which I have done. I reached out to them and got them to supply additional quotes. They were significantly cheaper, but there are other considerations within this. The delivery timeline that they were proposing was 12 to 14 weeks, and Game Time can do it within 6 to 8 weeks. And the installation timeline, for Game Time we could get it in this year. Pro Playgrounds, at the time of asking them, they were already booked out to October, so they would not be installing until spring 2026. I did ask for some reference feedbacks because it's a company that we haven't used before. There were 4 references that they supplied. I asked for city references. They haven't installed any parks or playgrounds in parks in any Minnesota cities currently. They sent out references for a church, an early learning center, one park that I couldn't find or get anybody to talk to me about, and the other one was an apartment block in Minneapolis. I left messages. I only got one response, and their response was the sales staff was great to work with, but their installation was somewhat delayed. They kept getting the date changed 2 or 3 times before they arrived, and then the installation they felt was very sketchy because they did not appear to have the right equipment to do the install safely, and the tools that they were using didn't appear to be the right tools to do the job. I asked her about how much use this playground gets, and it's a church playground, and they only get 3 families there during the week, on a weekday. Mainly it's on Sundays after services that they get maybe 20, possibly 30 families depending on the weather. So it's a very low usage compared to what we would be looking at. This would be servicing 4 neighborhoods, so it's a significant amount of different usage. The grant funding, we were awarded $100,000 from Hennepin Youth Sports Grant. The grant is capped at $100,000, so any money that's unspent for that grant, Hennepin County keeps, and the grant needs to be used by May 2026. So there are a couple of considerations for getting it in. I presented this to the Parks Commission, and they were unanimous in saying we should go with Game Time, the company that we've used already. So I'd be looking for your direction on this.
I'll add that I was kind of the proponent to create the pro playground deal. And because the install seems a little sketchy and the grant covers most of it, I'm fine with going with pro playground.
The Game Time?
Or, yeah, game time. I said that wrong.
Game Time. So I would like the Game Time one. I'm with the Parks Commission on that.
What was the delta again? Oh, you got it up.
Yeah.
You want to put it back?
32,301.61, and then.
There you go.
But ultimately,
108 or
it's
something like that.
really the grant is paying for it. So
Pretty much, yeah.
for almost all of it, and
Except
so,
for 25,000.
Yeah.
except for 25,000. But if Pro Playgrounds doesn't get their stuff in time, we could actually be out 93,000.
Correct.
So if quite frankly, I
Yeah.
think Game Time is probably going to be our cheaper deal. Actually, even though it's technically more expensive on paper, just because we know that they'll get the job done in time to use our grant.
Yeah, I think that makes sense.
Yeah, the other outfit is a Florida outfit also, and so we have no real history on them, so.
Yeah. And then, yeah. Okay. So
Yeah, I would-
I've made a motion.
I would
Did I make
agree
a motion?
with the conclusion. I think that, maybe this playground was at a bit of a disadvantage since we came to them kind of late, that
Yeah,
we
that's true.
maybe would want to, bring them into the next process sooner, just to see where they're at. I don't want to put too much weight on the one reference that you were able to
Yeah.
obtain, that maybe that's fair, maybe it's not, but I think, I don't know if we want to go off of just one reference, and I know that's all you were able to obtain. But, certainly if the quality of the equipment is different, then, that's sort of a deal killer to me, but I guess we don't know that from what we've seen. So I would just suggest that they stay on the list for the next go-around and at least get a
And I'd certainly
proposal from.
will do that. And I know that Game Time do similar playground equipment to this company does, but they only supply it to early learning centres and stuff like that. So I could get pricing on that from Game Time as well, if that's something that you're interested in, that comparison costs and what that type of equipment is against what we're currently buying, which is a more robust product from what I understand. But I can certainly do some more in depth on the next playground for sure.
I will just put my input in, that I agree with everything that we've said. I'm on the same page, but I also want to acknowledge you going back and doing this process all over again. So thank you for taking the time to do that.
Yeah, you're welcome.
All right, need a motion?
I make a motion to give the contract to Game Time.
I'll second. Oh,
Give it to Dept.
I'll give it to
thanks,
Steph.
Scott.
Any more discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say no. Carries 5-0. And we're on to the
Quarterly report, everything's peachy keen.
Are we good? Does it look good?
Of course, I know. Yeah. I'll wait for questions, but, yes, Mayor, members of council, I'm here to report the quarterly report. If you have any questions, let me know as we go through the slides, otherwise it's hard to go back and figure out what slides you're asking about. Normal operation for the general fund overall, as you can see, our balance has dropped significantly more over the last few years than it has in the previous years, and the reason for that is because of building permits. So building permits, we're kind of keeping our inflated numbers. We do have the general W process that happens with most cities, which is tax levy doesn't come in until July, so a big jump in July, and then we have through the end of the year, comes in at the end of December, then we have to go through the first 6 months of the year without any dollars coming in that are the major players for the operations dollars. So it ended positive this year, which is a positive. Last year we were at $93,000 negative at this same time in June, so, which is good. Income statement for the general fund overall, I mean, again, it looks really bad when it's $3.7 million negative at the bottom number with the variance, but I'll tell you that we did get our tax dollars in July and we're back up and right where we're supposed to be at. So nothing major to report here. Talk about, like I said, timing on first half taxes, charges for services and the intergovernmental revenue comes in Q4. It's the stuff I talked about, police state aid, fire state aid. Typically we get some like recycling grant dollars. All of those dollars come in towards the end of the year. So the timing is mostly off, so don't too worried into all of that, don't be too worried. Audit is a timing issue, that's no problem at all. Fines and forfeitures, that's related to the $30,000 that I mentioned last time in Q1, so it's any differently. Budgeted for 30 grand, I thought we were gonna still get the credit card fees in and then pay them out, and that's not the case. That actually goes to the credit card company, so that's a budget mistake on myself, and 30 grand we're not gonna get, so I gotta make sure we make it up somewhere else in revenue dollars, and we're doing that. Whether either cutting expenses or getting other revenues, so. Audit fees, again, that's where we went out for RFP. They were higher than what I wanted them to be, and I don't know if it's just based on the fact that general costs have gone up. We haven't gone out for RFP in, I don't know how long. It's been a long time. This is similar to Metro West. We got a good deal, we just kind of kept with it. Number 5, planning and economic development, that's under budget. That's based on the fact we haven't used any professional services so far. The one we did approve. So it was noted in the budget that we have $30,000 of kind of unallocated dollars for professional services related to whatever the council wants to work on during the year. And one of them has been identified as the small area plan. That's $15,000 of that 30. We haven't got the invoice for that yet, so I anticipate that will come, but again, we haven't spent professional service dollars. We still have $15,000 left. If the council wants to do any other projects related to planning or economic development stuff, we can most certainly do those things. So it's not allocated out. We also have the same thing in the budget for 2026, just to keep it consistent over years, that we have another $30,000 of, if something comes up and the council wants to look at it, whether that's comp plan related, transportation related, planning, whatever, that we're able to do those dollars without, having to worry about what the budget looks like
Was
at the end of the
that
year.
money that just went to the help we got? I'm trying to remember where the company was from. Is it?
Yeah, from Abdo, HR, you're talking, or from?
No,
the
small area plan that you were talking about.
That's from Stantec.
Yeah.
So Stantec's doing the moratorium area, that's what we're talking about right now, with
Oh,
$15,000.
all right. Okay, I thought we were talking about. All right.
I don't know what you're referring to,
Nope,
so I'm
forget
trying to
it.
figure out.
I was
Okay.
in the ditch.
Okay, sounds
It
good.
happens.
And then fire suppression is way under budget. Again, that's due to not hiring the full-time officer or full-time employees. We will see where that ends up. Again, you'll have to add some money back into that because we have to then pay for the fire relief aid, which is not in that budget number. So just so that you're aware of where those numbers are at. I'll try to unpack those as part of our budget discussion, which we had earlier. And then seasonal employees started obviously in May or June, which is not all the way through Q2. So we only had a couple months of those dollars being spent for seasonal employees.
So fire suppression refers to the fire department.
That is fire, that is the official term of the department is fire
Okay.
suppression. I don't know why that is, but that's just a term audit uses.
Okay. What is the emergency management?
That would be, basically, that's sirens,
Okay.
that's repairs, so I think this year, the reason why that's more expensive, it wasn't explained, and I believe it's because we had some repairs on a couple of sirens in town.
Okay.
Those need to be redone, I don't know how often, I'm gonna look at my 2 emergency managers over here, the fire chief and the police chief, that explain to me what's going on, but.
Yeah, the siren in the Dayton park needed to be rebuilt, so there's $3,000, $4,000, $5,000 to rebuild that siren.
And then the other part is HyperReach, which is that emergency management software. Again, that's
Okay.
overall for the whole year. So it was planned to just have HyperReach for the year for that software. I think it's like $5 or $7 grand or something for that software for the year.
I believe it's 5,200 or something of that nature.
But the reason why it's going to be over budget for the whole year is because of that siren. We didn't plan to repair a whole siren, so that's going to be the delta at the end of the year. Good question. It's just not explained because it doesn't meet the criteria.
Yeah, we did.
Good question. Anything else in this one that I can help with? Again, nothing of concern, it's just more or less a lot of it has to do with timing. And that's what kind of stinks about doing these income statements, is most of it has to do with timing. Either we make a one-time payment or we don't get paid till the end of the year. I don't love that explanation, but that's just how it is. We don't budget by month.
Why is the mayor and city council costing more?
Subscriptions and memberships, so you
Okay.
pay all your subscriptions and memberships in the beginning of the year.
Okay.
And then you get the budget towards the end of the year. Again, we don't budget by month, and I think that's Councilmember Fashion's comments a couple times. Why don't we budget by month or by quarter at least? And we just don't. That's just
Okay.
how government works. I'm happy to do it because I know when most of the timing is going to happen. So it's like, oh, I know it's going to happen in Q4, but or just like taxes, I know it's not going to happen until Q3, but.
I've never
You
understood.
never understood
that
that,
we
so.
don't do accruals
Yep.
for known expenses.
Nope.
I don't know why.
At the end of the year, we do. Or if I had maybe more staff members, I would, but we do not have that. Good. It's always a good comment, and I appreciate the comment, so. This is cash balances by fund. Nothing major to report here. Very, very typical expenses. EDA bought land. Nothing's changed since Q1. We slowly decreased the funds in 342. We started collecting TIF dollars. We closed out the project for the Dayton interchange project for $253,000. That came out of the stormwater fund. Any major questions? There's nothing that's dramatic on here that's different than before. We're getting wellhead dollars back, so that's why the increase in water. So that's probably the biggest increase on that year, on the change from last year, is we started getting some of the dollars back related to the wellhead treatment plant. So we've been paying for that out of it, and we got about, right now we're at $2.75 million back from grant money. And we just submitted for another $1.7 million of grant money last week. I think we got $700,000 approved, and I needed to provide some documentation back today for the other million. So you'll see that water fund will increase again because we're still working on getting that grant money back.
This is unrelated, and I'm sorry I didn't bring it up at the appropriate time. Did we figure out if we are prepaying Maple Grove, or?
Oh, that's a future question.
Okay.
A great question. How do I address that question?
I should have brought it up during my update.
No, it's a great question. We are currently prepaying Maple Grove, to your comment. I think most of the council knows, or met with various ones, alone I think I've met with his Councilmember Fashion, and just because we haven't met with our monthly one-on-one meeting. But that's related to the whole water and future water, and are connected to Maple Grove. We're going to have our own system conversation. I think I've had it with almost every council member except for Councilmember Fashion, so he's going to be in the dark here because I haven't met with him yet about it. But yeah, I guess the conversation is how much have we paid so far to Maple Grove? How much do we owe them still? We don't owe them still, so just want to make sure that we're all aware of that. How much is the future going to cost us? Because we don't know that answer either. That's also still unknown. They haven't technically put in any new wells for us yet, so it's kind of a prepaid dollars. But
can we get that back?
Yes, I think that's one of the. I was going to clarify maybe with Councilmember Henderson, because when I talked with her, she was the first one who got the information, because that happened just based on timing. The conversation happened with Maple Grove. We asked, Jason and I had been working with Maple Grove for at least 4 years to try to get an answer out of them of how much money do we actually owe you for hooking up to your system. The agreement that was done back in 2006 basically had a one-time $750,000 payment, and then didn't give any other amount for that besides $750,000 and then unlimited dollar amount for what we owe you. And we'll just prepay you for connection fees for the next however many years, and it's a 30-year agreement. So we've been paying connection fees as they've come in, so that's why we collect 2 fees in the south of Dayton, is because they're hooked up to Maple Grove. We have some for ours, and obviously have some for theirs that we have been paying them. And we've just been paying them every single quarter. That's what we do. We collect the money every quarter and give them a check every quarter and say, here's what it is. And Jason and I have been working for 4.5 years to try to get the number out of Maple Grove. And we finally got the number, and it's $4 million that we have to pay Maple Grove for their hookup, essentially. The cost to put in the wells, put in the treatment plant, our portion of the pipes, whatever may have you. And we've paid over that money. We've already paid them more than the $4 million that we were told that it was going to cost.
5.7.
Yeah, we've paid them $5.7 million of collection fees. Again, that's not coming from the residents of Dayton. It's coming from new homes. But then should we be continuing to charge those new homes for the connection fees if we don't have to pay them to Maple Grove because it's a prepayment? Because they need future wells to serve us, which they've given us an estimate of $7 million for future well costs. But they have not been installed yet, which is a small detail that I missed with Councilmember Henderson, that I thought that they had already been installed and we needed to owe them $7 million. This is actually not the case when I reread the email. I believe I was with either Councilmember Aston.
Yes, when we
shortly
reread
after
it.
that, and I apologize that Councilmember Henderson, I didn't follow back up with you. It's not because I wanted to keep you in the dark, just because I first met the email and I'm like, oh, I'll just follow up with her when I
I'm not that fragile, you're okay.
I'll just meet with her next. But yeah, we are prepaying Maple Grove.
Okay.
So I haven't talked to Maple Grove about that yet.
Do we have a timeline on when they think they're going to put in those new wells? Do we know that those new wells are needed?
Nope.
Wells? Question mark. Dot.
I'm going to go with no, but
Second
I'll
question.
have a city answer,
Okay,
Jason.
and if you don't know, that's fine. I'm just like questions that I'm now thinking of that.
They're good questions.
I can just add for context, so when Dayton originally did their water plan, they identified Maple Grove as supplying some portion of the water in perpetuity. So based on that future demand, which are nowhere near needing that at this point, but that future demand, they have planned for additional wells. So they have built, I believe, one one well, or maybe two, either way. They've built wells that have sufficed for the demand that Dayton currently has, and they're planning to build more as they need more to supply for Dayton, but there's no timeline or anything. So in my opinion is if you want to adjust your plan to rely 100% Dayton water, they don't need any more wells because they're already satisfying, and at that point, but you need to make that commitment, because as of now, it just says when your contract expires, it can be extended.
Yeah, but they'd have to do something by the 2035. We got to make a decision by then on which direction, or probably 2 years, 3 years before
Sooner than that would be good.
Sooner would be better.
Sooner would be
Right.
better, so you
Did
can settle up on
anybody
this.
kind of look at this and see, are those connection fees, let's say, we kind of roughly figure out when they need to put in another pump? With those connection fees that, well, of course, we've seen our bills drop too, but I'm just wondering if they're comparable.
It's hard to say. Well, the other part of it is they need wells too. So whether
Oh,
it's
sure.
for us or for them, I mean, who's to say which well is for which person? Because everybody benefits from, both communities benefit from it. So I don't know if I have a great answer. I mean, those are the things
And
we
it's
would talk
probably not an
through.
easy way to get that answer, but.
Yeah, so my, sorry, no, you go ahead.
I was saying we will circle back
Yes,
and
so my
get more.
plan was to
Okay.
talk at this at the second September meeting,
okay.
so that you had time to conversate about stuff. That's why staff was still, I'm still gathering all of the information so that you're able to go and I can work with Jason and say, hey, we need this information. And so if you need something specific to that conversation, which I think is appropriate, just send an email to me, would be great, so that I know what I can need to grab for
So
you to have information.
the softened water question, they're not going to answer until 26?
2026.
So, I mean, it seems to me that's a significant input into what we decide to do.
Yes, I'm not saying you have to make a final decision in this year, but I think it's more or less you need to have a general idea of what we're up against potentially.
Oh, definitely.
As Dayton, and saying we need to have some conversations now so that we know what to have in the future. I would rather have you have pre-discussions than have last-minute discussions about we need to do this now. We have a month to make the decision, figure it out. That doesn't ever bode well to good decision making.
I'd like to have like if they go softened water, we will do X.
Yeah,
If they
maybe.
don't do softened water, we will do Y. And like have those decisions mostly fleshed out, and then once they make their decision, we can like.
Do we know the timeline? We don't know the timeline on their decision, correct? We just know 2026?
Yeah, early 2026, that's what we've been told. And that's when they'll know their information back so that they can make their decision on what they're going to
And
do.
there's-
And I don't know if it's gonna be right away. Like, I don't know if they're gonna go, they've already, I don't know what council's after Maple Grove, like, are they follow down, but.
The way they worded it in the email was they hopefully will have cost estimates associated with the treatment in early 2026.
Yeah.
So it's still very, very early in their process. That's just to get a cost estimate.
And I would assume that part of their decision-making would be what we've decided, or them, again,
I
if
gotta
they
believe
think that
that's
we're
gonna be
going
some
to.
impact. That's going to have some impact. at
I
least
think it
in
would have a
my-
large impact.
They reached out even 2 or 3 years ago to just ask Dayton's plan because they wanted to factor that into their decision. So absolutely, they'll be looking to get an answer from Dayton on what their plans are.
And I think
So to
that's
your
what, to your
point,
point, Mayor and Councilor Van Aston and Councilor Henderson and Solonic, all of you are the same question is, what do they do? What do we do? What does that mean for us? What does that mean for them?
Yeah.
And that's where I'm here to provide as much information I can so you guys can make an educated decision.
The other thing is, I mentioned this just when we were talking, is what we signed up for with
Yes,
that.
and I have not had a
JP.
chance to find that agreement, so part of your question was
I-
percentage increase,
Yeah,
whatever,
so
that was limits.
the Corrigan mayor was telling me, just so everybody knows, that when they signed the contract with Maple Grove, it did limit the increases per year.
Per year.
So if they suddenly go with soft water, does that kick in? I don't know, because otherwise, if they go with soft water, we're in deep doo.
Well, then we're in
We'll have to
Well,
do-
we're done with them. We can't do that.
Well, yep.
Well,
but
we're
it-
locked
but it's-
in till we are all dead and gone because you have to recover that, right? Like, that's.
This conversation has gone morbid, let's move on. This will happen in September.
I talked about cakes and then death. I apologize. This has been a
Not
wide
done yet.
swing.
We can talk about chickens next.
So, yeah, so this will happen a conversation in the future.
Yeah.
I had a conversation with all of you except for Dave, and Dave's this Thursday, so it's not like it's gonna be hidden. Congratulations, you got a preview. But, yeah, like I said, this is a future conversation to have, and again, my job is to provide information to you to make an educated decision. That's my job.
Sorry for
Good- no,
derailing.
Good, it's a good question, so. Water fund. I would say nothing really major here that you need to be concerned about. We're favorable in revenues and miscellaneous. The miscellaneous dollars is the $1 million of federal money. So that will be more as the year goes on, as we get more and more federal dollars. We got 1.75 million last year in state money, so that's why that's not in there. When I mentioned 2.75 million over the last year, it's because we got some in 24 and the rest has been in 25. So the state money came in first, federal money will come in second here. Salaries and benefits are under budget so far. Again, we've kind of allocated different spots based on what people are actually doing. We try to analyze that every year. Marty and I sit down and look at it and go, okay, how much time are they spending here? How much time are they spending there? And analyze as best we can based on his graphs that he does with his time, which is fantastic. He does way more time calculation than I do. And then supplies are, that we purchased a lot of meters this year. So we are trying to move people over from the old meter style, which is kind of a ball and a meter that would roll around and that spins the dial. It's now done by laser for our AMI system, and so we're trying to rotate people over from the old meter to the new meter. It's a slow process, but it does work well, and the laser measure seems to be more accurate and doesn't slow down over time. So what we've seen over time is that ball ends up slowing down with the water
The
quality
water
that we have.
gets cheaper.
And then water is now cheaper, but the water still goes to the meter at the same rate. But the ball doesn't spin in the meter nearly as fast as
The
it used
laser
to.
won't wear out.
So we get lots of calls, and when they get their meter switched, then they get charged a lot more. But at least it's accurate. That's my main thing. Let's see, your utilities. We're way over in utilities. That's related to water charges, so that's just a timing issue based on the fact that we actually didn't pay Maple Grove in time for their water last year, and we didn't allocate it back like we do now. So last year, I believe it was around this time or so, we had a conversation about 2023's budget, about how we were so far over and we needed to do better at putting dollars back to where they're actually being spent at. So if they're spent in June, let's put them back to June and don't put them in July. In 2024, we put them in July. And so that's why it's off by a month. So it's about our second quarters, April, May, and June is typically a higher usage of water than it would be in January, February, and March. So that's why it's off. That $138,000 is simply based on timing. So again, it's more or less a water charge issue. Major things. Well 4 rehab is the big thing for this year in repair and maintenance. Last year it was the Brayburn Trails water extension. So that is, water extension came from Brayburn Trails and goes down underneath the trail that goes by Sundance Golf Course towards Territorial Trail to be able to create a loop system. We had the developer put that in and we reimbursed them there last year for that work. That will eventually become a loop. Right now we're about that far on the map away from a loop system, and we are unable to get the last bit of easement to make that loop. So if you have any more comments or questions, then I'm happy to explain more information on that. But we're about that far away from a loop, and I don't think that's going to happen anytime in the near future.
I'm just wondering, because we're so far off on repairs and maintenance.
Yep.
That it is what it is when stuff breaks or, but it seems like we have something that happens, at least the last 2 years.
Yep.
That maybe we ought to be budgeting that a bit differently.
I would agree with you. I don't think any of us thought well 4 rehab was going to have to happen after we just installed that thing 5 years ago. So it's a fairly new well. We typically see those rehab projects happening after 20 years, but I don't disagree with you. One thing that this goes into, it goes into the water rates. So we're very cognizant about the water rates and trying not to jack those up too much because it does affect everybody's monthly bills, or bi-monthly bills, you should say. So trying to figure out what the right number is. And so that's why we've always historically been, okay, we don't want to jack it up just because it happened one time. To your point, which we looked back at repairs and maintenance a couple of years ago in the general fund and said, okay, is that a one-time thing or is that a consistent thing? And it looks like it's more consistent than I'd like to admit. So,
And there's no way to ensure that. It just boggles my mind that all these cities have to worry about these big unforeseen costs and nobody.
I mean, I'm sure we could pay for insurance for it. I mean, you can pay for insurance to insure your right hand if you want to. So,
yeah.
I mean, you can probably pay for it, but it's not covered by our league insurance if that's what your question is.
Yeah, no, I guess that was my question, is could we look at getting it? But I
We
mean,
can.
it's like anything else. They're gonna scrape some off the top, but at least that levels your costs.
We can look at that and check out some things. Marty and I can look and see if we can find some insurance people that will be able to cover it and write a policy for it that would cover those kind of repairs and maintenance items. I don't know what the cost is gonna be, I have no idea, but we're willing to do some research on it if that's what the council would like us to do.
And, well, I don't know if you guys would have better luck, but I've never had any luck. Anytime I've had to contact my insurance company to pay for the things that I have paid them to pay for, it has been an utter nightmare. And I've never ever had a positive experience with an insurance company in my entire life. So I personally would find it worth paying their extra fee on top of it, but I do understand it would at least level our budget and we could like predict that number then. We would know what that number is. So. But I'm not a huge fan of insurance. I apologize if anyone in here is an insurance broker. So.
I'm hearing two. Anybody else? I mean, we can look into it if that's what the council wants to do.
Is that a typical thing? Or
I don't know, that's what I was.
do we know of other, like, this might be a silly question, but do we know of other cities that have done that?
For all the cities that I've worked for or worked as whether a consultant or actually worked for, I've never heard of anybody from any size.
Not that I'm knocking your idea. I'm just asking, like, for reference, like.
And that's all I was asking for, is it possible?
Yeah, I don't think it's impossible.
I'm just saying, like, a recommendation from, your insurance company must suck, mine's great, so if you need a name, let me know. But that's kind of what I was asking.
I think it's worth exploring at the hospital. We did carry insurance for those larger kind of infrastructure repairs. Companies like Chubb and FM Global are the two that I've dealt with in the past, but.
Do you want to send me just a text message? It would be great for those names, because I don't know how to spell either one of them.
Okay. Yeah, I don't think it hurts to ask.
Okay. No, that sounds good. We can do that. So we might pay more than what we need to some years, but that's the process of insurance. That's how that works. So
on average, you
gotta lose the gain.
Yep, you got to either do it annually or not.
But the predictability is nice to have.
And it's,
sometimes it's worth paying a little bit more for.
Good questions. Anything else for the water fund? Overall, it's healthy. Sewer fund is the same way. Overall healthy, no major concerns that I have for where we're at. Over budget in charges for services, which is anticipated just based on where we're at with the year, and under budget in professional services, or over budget in professional services, which is likely related to just timing of when we're paying for Met Council, because we pay Met Council on a monthly basis for water. Wastewater, I apologize. Any questions on the sewer fund overall? Okay. I said that if there's any major things that ever come up, I always make sure the council knows before this quarterly report, so it's not a surprise. So quarterly report's more just an acceptance process.
Any questions?
Stand for any questions?
No.
all right. Sounds like we're good. And with that, if there are no objections, we'll be adjourned. We're adjourned.